So I thought I'd play a few of the clips I saw on the internet of kind of the other side. Burn it all down, bring down the system. But, you know, Klaus Schwab says he wants an angrier world. They want to bring down the system and bring in a new system. So I've never really been accused by anybody credible of being loyal opposition or getting a call from the ADL and told what to say. And I'm sure when Nick, you know, and others have said that, that's tongue-in-cheek. No, I legitimately don't like Genghis Khan. I don't like Adolf Hitler. I don't like Mao Zedong. I don't like Joseph Stalin or V.I. Lenin. I don't like the ADL and their incredible authoritarianism, and I've been pushing really hard to stop them destroying our First Amendment. But, you know, you can dislike Hitler and also dislike the ADL in my worldview, and I know it's the naughty thing to come up here and say you love Hitler, but I don't agree with that. I agree with people's First Amendment. I agree they shouldn't be penalized for it, and that's why I created a platform for that. One of the biggest things probably ever, definitely the most views we've ever had for one event. I mean, Endgame got watched 100 million times, like 80-something million times on Google Video before they took it down. But that, you know, that took a couple of years to do before they took it down. But this is definitely one of the biggest things we've ever done. But it just kind of, to me, was very interesting. It was thought-provoking. And, of course,
this is the kind of dad I want to be. My end game is going to be Alex Jones. Right, just a bunch of kids and be like, yeah, the Freemasons. It's all about the Freemasons. They're on top. You know, that's good end game for me.
Of course, we see people like Scott Adams saying, oh, I see what Ye did. He's trying to overturn the whole chessboard. So is that really what went on? So before we have a debate or an argument.
So when is the right wing ever going to talk about Hitler being a homosexual? Why is that, like, for the dissident right? Why is that? And they're not allowed to talk about that. They got to always make John Zherka, he wasn't a dumbass. Dude, there's literal books on this about his gay escapades in Munich. He was a Catholic. No, he wasn't. He was a pagan. That's why. Did you know that the Nazi flag is supposed to have a cross on it? He takes out the cross for the swastika. You're not reading enough, man. This is a Black Sun, Vril Society, homosexual. You need to read about the black magic stuff. And no, just because the Vatican supported him doesn't mean the Vatican is Christian. Nobody on earth, not even Catholics, believe the Vatican's Christian. They're pagan, worshiping. They have an obelisk in the Vatican, you fucking retard. They have a fucking obelisk. The Bible says no obelisks.
I'd like to give Nick some time to give his views. We really haven't talked much other than briefly Sunday about him coming on today, about what he thinks really went on there. Because some people thought I staged that and I was in on it or something. No, I didn't know what was going on. It's kind of like Trump didn't know what was going on to a greater extent. I knew who I was meeting with. And then I had seen clips of Nick saying he didn't support Hitler and actually wasn't anti-Semitic. He just didn't like what some...
You are so psyop beyond redemption. Keck, you believe everything the left says. What? The left didn't write those books. Conservatives wrote books about how they didn't like Hitler being homosexual. What are you talking about? What the hell are you talking about? Matter of fact, the left would lie if they found that out. They wouldn't want him on their team. You're a fucking retard.
The Jewish mafia is doing, claiming everybody's a Nazi, doesn't agree with them. So I just kind of saw this really as an enigma of what's...
The left says he's transsexual with one ball. No, they don't say he's transsexual. I've never even heard that conspiracy. What the hell are you talking about? Hitler as a transsexual? I haven't even heard that one.
Really going on. So uncensored, unfiltered, Nick Fuentes joins us for the next hour and 42 minutes or so. Nick, thanks for joining us. What do you want to talk about first, or will you humor me and tell me what the hell you think happened a week and a half ago here in the studio?
Yes, well, hello, Alex. Great to be with you. I'll humor you, and we could talk a little bit about how the show went down. For anybody that thinks it was staged, of course it wasn't. And people... They have all these ideas about where this is coming from, where Ye is coming from with these new ideas and with these kinds of things. And people have talked about mental illness, and they've said that people like me are giving him ideas or handling him. People have speculated that the walkout on Tim Pool or the show that we did with you was staged. And I can assure you, I've been working with Ye for the last 3 weeks. Nothing is staged, and nobody can handle him. Nobody can influence him. He's his own man. And as far as the mental illness remarks goes, I've met manic people before. I've known bipolar people. He's not a bipolar or an unstable person. In fact, he's highly energetic, vigorous, works all day, creative. I really can't say enough positive things about him. But with regards to the appearance on your show, what I've noticed is that Ye has started this conversation with the DEFCON 3 tweet about the Jews. He went on your show and he said that he loves Hitler. And what's, I think, the most remarkable about this is everybody is fixated on the remark. What did you mean by DEFCON 3? What did you mean by you love Hitler? What do you love about Hitler? What does DEFCON mean? Is that a threat? And so on. And he's done several interviews. He did an interview with Piers Morgan, with Lex Friedman, with Tim Pool, with you, with Gavin. And in all the interviews, it's so focused on the Hitler. It's focused on the Jewish. And for a lot of people, they might say, oh, well, of course, that's an outrageous thing to say. It's so provocative. And maybe that was the intention. Maybe it was about publicity. Maybe it was staged. But if you listen to what the man is saying, he has said, what got us to this point? I think that it says something in itself that the conversation is about the remark rather than all the, in my opinion, far more outrageous things going on all around, which is that right now the ADL is shaking down Congress for $500 million. I don't know if people realize that. Submitted an appropriations request in response to the interview we did. Now, you've got, whether you thought it was entertaining, whether you thought it was revolutionary, you have Ye with a mask on, with a yoo-hoo and a net saying, I love Hitler, and the ADL shaking the cup with Congress. We need $500 million to fight anti-Semitism. It's outrageous. He's been banned from the bank. He's had his deals shut down by Nike and Adidas to the tune of billions of dollars over 10 years. And the list goes on and on and on.
Stay there. I hear what you're saying, but then that's what people ask, and I don't think this is the case. That is Ye secretly like an ADL operative to get them funding. So we're going to talk about that when we come back. I guess what I want to say here is Alex Jones, and this being my broadcast is, I really didn't know that Ye was going to come here and do that. I didn't know that Nick Fuentes was going to agree with him. I understand their First Amendment. I understand when the ADL on the left says it's inherently racist and evil to be white or to be Christian, that they've crossed that Rubicon and basically become what they say Hitler was. So at that point, Ye isn't taking people's bank accounts away and spying on folks on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and wanting $500 million from Congress for this hate task force to basically silence anybody that criticizes any of the leftist operations. So I don't like any of that. I'm a big enemy of it. The ADL singles me out at their big events and wants me destroyed. My only frustration is I legitimately, Nick, have studied World War II and also had family that was in World War II and know that a bunch of the top Nazis tried to kill Hitler, like Erwin Rommel and people, and that Stalin admired Hitler and all the rest of this. I don't like Stalin either. And so just because what was done to Germans was wrong in World War I, and there were also war crimes against Germans, in my view, let's just get the Hitler thing out of the way. Do you actually admire Adolf Hitler?
In some ways, yes. And I'm not a National Socialist, and I'm not I wouldn't identify that way because I'm a Christian. So I'm not any kind of a socialist or a fascist. I like Ye, believe we should have a Christian government. It's a Christian country. God runs the world. We should have a government in accordance with that. But honestly, I don't share this histrionic Jewish view that Hitler is this exceptionally boogeyman, evil figure. The 20th century is full of violence. The 20th century is full of authoritarian ideologies run rampant, and that's a product of modernism and liberalism and all kinds of trends. But this idea that my life is in any way impacted by Hitler, I have a lot more animosity for the ADL. I have a lot more animosity for the ZOA. I have a lot more animosity for the groups that have actually made my life and the life of my family materially worse, personally and across the board with the society. I'm sick of being expected by Jewish media and Holocaust museums to beat my chest like you kind of did the other week and say, oh, I hate Hitler. Hitler's a... you know, it's like this weird, it's like 1984, you know, when they put the face on the TV and everybody's got to get all wound up. He's
You're
an
talking about
iconic
10 minutes.
figure.
You're talking about 10 minutes of hate. Well, I legitimately hate Stalin, hate Mao, hate Hitler, hate the ADL, hate Barack Obama, hate the Democratic Party. And I've always, remember me on Piers Morgan? I didn't get a call from the ADL when I was on Piers Morgan, the most popular thing he ever did, the biggest thing CNN did that year. They had the ratings. They had like 50 million viewers for that. Their average show had like 10 million back then. And I said, Hitler took the guns, Stalin took the guns, Mao took the guns. And if you try to take our guns, 1776 will commence again. I've always criticized Hitler. I've made documentaries about the Bush family helping fund Hitler and the British royalty. So where we have a sticking point is that Alex got the call as you sent out on social media.
It's not just British royalty, right? Swedish, all royalties throughout Europe, the business moguls of France, the Harriman brothers, Wall Street.
And I'm just curious, do you think I actually got a call to come out and criticize Hitler? You think that's a new thing for me?
No, I know that you're very vocally anti-Hitler over the years. I know that you're more of a libertarian.
What the fuck?
And so you have this view of history which lumps in together Mao, Stalin, Hitler as authoritarians versus freedom fighters, capitalists, you know, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson. So I'm familiar with your show and all of that. And honestly, it was a little bit glib. You called me baby Hitler. I said, you got a call. You know, quite honestly, it's banter, but it is well known that you don't really talk about this issue. You're more talking about New World Order, Bill Gates, and these sort of obscure conspiracy theories like Bilderberg. My show's a lot more focused on, you know, what you might call the Jewish question, which is what are we to do about this Jewish elite, these Jewish gangsters that run our Christian country? These people
and
that
I
don't
think,
worship
and I
Jesus.
think that's a debate that should be had, because there's no doubt that leftism and the whole globalist power grab has wrapped itself in Judaism as its defense. And I would call the FTX folks and the federal regulators who all, involved in this basically are Jewish, who are out there doing that, are criminals who happen to be Jewish who are hiding behind Judaism. But I don't then blame the average Jew for that. So I think that's the difference. Kind of like when Ye and you were on with Gavin McInnes, and he's like, well, you know, blacks commit as proportionate more crime than the other group, but you don't just blame the average black person. Do you just not trust a Jew when they come in the room? And Ye goes, yeah, I don't, you know. To me, that's what I'm saying is I do believe in Martin Luther King, that we judge individuals by who they are and what they do, not by what color they are or where they're from. But go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with that in principle, but we also have to understand that it's not that these people happen to be Jewish. I think that's the big source of the disagreement. Is these are what we're told in the last few weeks when Ye makes these remarks about the Jewish media or Jewish Hollywood or so on, is, well, these are individuals. These are people that we've got to name them individually, and these are people that happen to be bad, or rather they are bad and happen to be Jewish. But I think there's something about their Jewishness that makes it this way. And I think that is really the source of the disagreement. My morality is not bound up in this authoritarian versus freedom thing. It's about God versus the devil. And the curious fact about the Jewish religion, which all the Jewish people that came to America in the last century as immigrants were religious. When the people came over at Ellis Island in the late 19th and early 20th century, they came from these rabbinical communities. They were all very religious. And so you've got all the Jews in America, elite, not elite. They're 1, 2, or 3 generations removed from these very religious, rabbinical Jewish communities. What's curious about the Jewish religion is it's the only one that has an extreme antipathy for Jesus Christ. Muslims revere Jesus as a prophet. Buddhists, Hindus, they review Jesus as a wise teacher. We all agree that Jesus existed. It's only the Jews that say that Jesus is burning in hell, boiling in semen and excrement, and say that his mother is a whore. And so you take these people that come from Europe, and again, it's their children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren who are now in charge of the elite institutions.
Well, sure. I mean, Nick, I'll say this. Ethan Klein came out on his huge podcast and said, I would murder Jesus again. Jews should, basically kill Christians. And you didn't say kill Jews. So he went further than you and Ye, and no one decried it. And that is wrong. He said, I'm Jewish. I want to kill Jesus again. We should kill Jesus. We should basically kill Christians. And when he said it was like cute and funny and the media loved it. You didn't call for violence against anybody. So on a scale of me disagreeing with you, you're a 1, and Klein and the ADL are a 10. Look, I'm not friends with the ADL. I get what you're saying. I'm just saying that any authoritarian movement, I think, is extremely dangerous. And we're not faced with Hitler today. We're faced with the ADL and other authoritarian movements. So I think coming out and invoking Hitler almost gives those groups cover. And now, as you said, they're trying to get $500 million from Congress.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from. I think maybe that's more of a tactical disagreement. And I told you over the weekend, maybe this is my youth. You know, I'm willing to humble myself and say I'm young and zealous and idealistic, as everybody can relate to that. But I do think I might be onto something here, which is that we've watched for 20, 30 years and things just keep getting worse. And we saw what happened in 2020. The election was stolen. The whole first term was rigged. And Trump comes back even weaker than before. And I'm like, when are we going to confront head on the fundamental problems? When are we going to head on?
All right, stay there. We'll talk about what you think the fundamental problems are when we come back. And then I'll give you my response to that and more. Nick Fuentes is our guest. We're having a debate. We're having a discussion here, which the system doesn't want, but we're having it, and it's unfiltered and uncensored. He's saying whatever he wants. I'm saying whatever I want. All right. Remember, we're still on over 400 radio stations. That's why we have 14 minutes of ads an hour, the industry standard. Though I do enjoy doing a lot of the commercial-free podcast that you find at band.video as well. We did a 3-hour one commercial-free this last Saturday with a major whistleblower from the Wuhan lab, the vice president of Eagle Health Alliance, proving Fauci created the bioweapon and released it and more. So incredibly important and why the system wants us shut down. Now, Nick Fuentes is here with us, and he said going after Bill Gates and the Bilderberg Group is kind of this esoteric, little-known thing, but he's going up against the Jews. Well, I mean, folks, in case you've woken up and looked around, the entire WEF is calling the shots. The big mega banks are running the show. They're coming after our bodies. They're trying new lockdowns, new forced injections. That is not some esoteric little side issue that we're covering. In fact, no one was really covering it until we started hammering it in the last 28 years. So I'm very proud of that. That's what my films and books like The Great Reset and The War for the World are about. Now, I'm not saying Nick Fuentes doesn't have a right to say what he's saying or bring up what he's saying, because separately, the ADL is brainwashing school children on record that being white is inherently bad and teaching kindergartners and first graders they are bad because they're white. Well, I mean, Hitler taught people were bad because of what group they were. So I'm like, I see the ADL as Hitler, and then people that are supposedly opposing it say, well, Hitler, compared to them is good. That's where I have the real breaking point. And so I asked the question earlier.
He's so cute. It's like when you ask your dad about sex. Why? Just well, it's the birds and the bees. It's just a complicated thing.
I want you to be able to get back into your point about the power structure and what you're doing. You'll have the floor for a few minutes. I'll shut up. But what about what I asked earlier that I forgot to get back to? The ADL wants $500 million. They want more control over society because of Kanye West, Ye's little comments here. I get he's obviously not a threat. He doesn't control people's bank accounts. That's a joke. But then people say, is Ye really working for them to first wear a red hat, say he's a Trump supporter, and now come out and do this? I've been around him.
American movies always showing killing Muslims before they enter into a new Middle Eastern war. You're just taking takes from me and repeating them in chat to farm based, but it's like you're just stealing what I said. Another thing, Muslims need to stop in my fucking chat, okay? You guys are so 2004, okay? The whole Muslim thing ended with fucking Trump, okay? It hasn't been about Muslims for a while. You guys need to stop, right? We hate Bush. Hey, this channel hates satanic Bush more than anything. We're the real right wing. But stop, okay? Ever since 2016, it's about white people, right? It's our turn to get fucking stuffed in the locker, okay? So we're not doing that anymore with the whole... No, we're not. Look at the red string around his hand. Yeah, I see it.
I've talked to him a lot for a long time, and I really don't think that's the case. Just to clear this up, I saw some of your supporters saying, Nick is so nice and got Kanye to his office and got him on air and introduced him to Kanye and to Ye, and then Jones did all that to poor Nick. I've been talking to Ye for a long time. He never come on the show. I gave his number to other folks to come on, to Milo Yiannopoulos. He got Nick Fuentes in touch with him. So people want to blame me for this whole fiasco. I guess I'm involved. But that was me saying, here, get him on their shows. That's fine. Go where you want to go. They wanted to talk to him. I gave him the number for all of the groypers out there that are living in La La Land. Okay? So that's another little point I want to get to. Now I'm going to shut up. But what about this issue of him actually being the biggest fundraiser ever for the ADL? What do you say to that?
Well, I would say it's ridiculous.
You know what's the funniest thing about all this is you know what's the funniest part of this is a lot of people think Nick is the rightest it goes, but there's actually I've talked about this before. There's a more right-wing group. I forget what they're called. I forget the names, Adam and all those guys. There's a more right-wing group that says it's actually the Jewish plan to be hated and be the new white guy for end times, that they're going to be rulers and da-da-da. And so they're screaming in their channels, you're falling for their plan. They want to be hated. And then there's people like Nick who go, no, they want to keep it a secret. And it's like they fight. I don't know, if you follow politics, you would see the right wing as this like fragmented, like there's so much infighting. When you look at lefties, they go, hey, you touched Alicia's elbow at a party, so you're a rapist. We have to disassociate from you. And then, you know, that happens once in a blue moon. But when you look at the right, it's, no, we're with fucking Hitler. No, you know, it gets fucking intense on this side, bro. This side's terrifying.
I think anybody that knows Ye knows that he doesn't work for anybody other than God, and his actions prove that. And I think if you've had a conversation with him for more than 10 minutes, you know that he's one of the most authentic, sincere people I've ever met. And like I said, people that meet him for 10 minutes, they come up and hug him in the street. They know that. As far as him being a fundraiser for the ADL, it flies in the face of the fact that if there were no ADL, he would be leading a great awakening. But it was the ADL that wants to shut him down. If the ADL was so in love with what he was doing, why would they go to Twitch, as an example, and say that
Nick did a political compass and was left of the middle? Well, yeah, he's a national socialist. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Nick's position is that economically he doesn't care. He just doesn't care what system. It's just a vessel as long as the virtue of the people is upheld. So he doesn't really care if it's a commie system, a socialist system. He doesn't care if it's a capitalist system, right? Which, by the way, the capitalist system is the worst system, because what pure capitalism is, the byproduct of it, is liberalism. Meaning top dollar to get your daughter to strip on OnlyFans. That's what's paying her. That's getting the most money out there. So when you look at capitalism, it is so fucking disgusting, right? When it's all about trade and that there's no Bible, it's the free market is the greatest degeneracy tool there is. And a lot of righties hate when I say that. And it's kind of like, I don't think you understand what you're fighting. So what's the alternative? Well, it would be socialism if you think about it, because humans are not born as individuals. You're in groups. You're in a group system with your family, your community, your Christian community, hopefully, your religious community, and you need to keep these creatures socialized. You need to keep humans social and working in groups. You have to. They're like fucking cattle. Do you know what this individualistic mindset's for? It's for naysayers, or excuse me, not naysayers, outliers, for people like me, for people like you guys, you bright individuals, right? People like us, that's the individualistic mindset is for winners, but 99% of society is a fucking loser. You can't move a society like that. Imagine if I treated everyone in chat like an individual. You think that would work? Just do a media share where we watch every clip everyone ever sends in this chat. Your Hassan arc is beginning. No, it's not, because I'm more for a barter economy. I'm old-fashioned, actually. And by the way, I critique Marx, right? I think communism's the dumbest shit on earth. Abolishing private property is the highest retard position you could take. And that's really what communism is. A lot of people try and confuse it for other things, right? There's God, family, and private property, and nothing else. There's nothing else. Everything else is noise. So I'm no commie. This is not a fucking tanky channel, and it never will be. Why? Why? Because politically, what are you selling me? Right? So Haas will look me dead in the eyes and say 1950s America is not the greatest time to live. And I'd say he's a liar. I'd say I think Haas would love to be born in that time. Right? Even as an immigrant. Yeah. So if you don't understand where you are politically, ask yourself, the streamer you watch, what package are they selling you? So if Zherka is selling you the Twilight Zone package, what the hell is this guy selling you? What's the commie package? Right? Is it China? You want everything to be like China right now? Really? Godless? Appreciate you, man. Stickle, I appreciate that. Why private property, though? Everything should be in service of the greater good. Okay, but again, who is serving you? The flawed, sinful human. So if you understand how evil humans are, I don't think you want the top to have everything, right? You want the government to control everything? Did you know that humans don't even need police forces? And before you attack me, just hang on. Why the policing system was made was to protect banks. Go on Wikipedia and check it out. You're not meant to live in a city. You're meant to live on a fucking farm. Regular, God-fearing life. Right? Where everyone in the neighborhood is your family and everyone got a fucking shotgun and they say, hey, you can't come rape our daughters here. You understand? Police don't... The police thing is so... It's like the city pill. And it's like, dude, if you have a strong Christian community, a lot of bad things are avoided, actually. And I talk about a theocratic system a lot, but I'm saying that's if the king believes in Christ, right? That's the whole point. Is if the king is afraid of going to hell, it's a good king. And there have been good kings, right? Not these Masonic puppets throughout history. There has been good kings, right? I forget what year, man. There's a time where people are having like 12 kids, working like a couple hours a day, and everyone had a big plot of land. There's been way better systems than the one you think because you have an iPhone, you're born in the best time. That's not even true, right? You have anxiety, you have depression, you hate your life, but you defend the free market like it's your fucking God. It's ridiculous. And now you abolish monopolies and all these disgusting systems, and the free market can work, but it would still have to be under a Christian rule. It would have to be like, hey, you're not stripping on Twitch, bitch. You can't do that for money. Why? Because you got to give the boys hope. You can't get men to think, everyone's a hoe. My life sucks. I'll never get married. Blah, 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 blah. What about standardized tests like in Imperial China? Let the test filter out the smartest it doesn't matter about IQ. Remember, knowledge is biting from the apple. You could be the smartest murderer on earth. You're still a murderer. Building a system on IQ is satanic. It's eugenics. It's gross. What you want to do is build a society that rewards the most righteous and spiritual man, the man who follows the book closest, the Khabibs, right? Let's say Mother Teresa. A lot of you guys hate her, but she's my Albanian grandma. Bro, most sociopaths are low IQ. It requires high IQ to be empathic and kind. You're a fucking retard. That is the most retarded position ever. Do you know why low IQ people shoot up places? Because they don't have God. Like, a lot of you guys think that these murderers have chemical imbalances. Oh, Ted Bundy, who was, U.S. military. Most psychopaths throughout history were connected to military. Go look into it, right? That's why you don't see... Is there a school shooting in Albania or in any of your countries? No, they might have gangsters shooting each other on the streets, but they don't walk into schools and bam, 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 just light up children. But that happens in this nihilistic... I mean, what is more godless than America right now? Can you name a more godless country? And they were the most God-fearing. In the 1950s, they were beautiful. They were just a great people. I'm talking about the average guys. I'm not talking about the military-industrial complex and stuff. I'm just talking about the average American wasn't bad at all. I think demonic possession can manifest in chemical imbalance. Oh, that's base as hell. I like that. There is usually a logical reason alongside the spiritual reason. Yeah. But again, then you're pretty much saying like the love you have for your brother is just chemicals. And when you start seeing the world in chemicals, the Masons laugh at you, ruling class laughs at you, everyone laughs at you, and you feel smart because you read it in a science book. Oh, it's just a chemical imbalance. Yeah, that guy murdering a pregnant woman, there's no devil involved there. It's just a chemical imbalance. It's like, really? You don't believe in good and evil? I think that's the number one thing. That's the number one lesson you have as a young adult is good and evil. As a teenager. Why are you loving your brother? Because of God. Right? I have a spiritual connection to my brother. Yeah, old American accent is nice. Yeah. The most cruel people you will ever meet are low IQ. Really? Bill Gates seems low IQ to you? I don't know any criminal that's that savage, right? Just would he take all the farmland now? It's just never enough for him. The most greedy person. I mean, some people believe these guys are philanthropists, but it's like, dude, they've quadrupled their net worth in a couple years. I don't think they're giving money away, bro. Right? Bezos, none of them. John Zherka, what percentage of Pizzagate was real? 98%? 99%? Look into James Alefantis. I don't like to talk about that because you don't get banned for stuff like that. You just go missing. There's this guy named Isaac Cappy. That's not a topic you really want to like deep dive live. That topic is terrifying. That's end game. That's like when I have millions of followers and a bunker and all this security around me, but that's not something I want to deep dive live because at the top, they're going to revisit these clips of mine and be like, well, you talked about Pizzagate. Why don't you talk about... You unironically believe in mediocrity. That's the biblical opinion, actually, that living a simple farm life, low IQ or mid IQ, yes, that's a better society than we gotta build a new iPhone and just fucking be pro-abortion. No, your way takes you to hell, my dude. I mean, you can be like, I'm going to build the best system ever where everyone's smart and everyone can do this and that. But really, it's just murdering a bunch of babies. Wow. You know, your system is great, bro. Yeah, you're definitely going to hell for that. Christianity is done for. Islam's the last religion with morals, brotherhood. Trying having a drag show in a mosque. Yeah, but throughout history, people have said that, and you don't understand how religion works. It always comes back stronger when the pendulum swings too progressive, right? I'm not just predicting a red wave for the next couple of years. It's gonna get hectic, and then it's gonna swing somewhat back. Not as far as child drag shows. It's not gonna come back to here. I know it won't. You know, people are fed up. Oh, you said meritocracy. I do believe in it. It's just to what point, you know? To what point? You know, I really want a society of Khabibs. I want a society of just simple folk. And I want to split up these big cities. I want to make it so a girl doesn't have to go to a city and be a whore to make money. I think that would be best. I mean, this whole like rat-like living, it is rat-like living. Right? City life in a little apartment and shit. Now, I'm not saying they deserve to be on top. In a perfect Christian system, Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton would visit the guillotine in a video game. I mean, these people are murderers. The Clinton body count. It's kind of crazy. Like, that no one talks about. How do you have 30 people who work for you die in a couple years? What did they hear, bro? No, I don't believe. No, dude, I don't believe in Christ because of Paul or any reason a Christian believes in Christ. I believe in Christ because it's the greatest fear to the ruling class is that name. And those are the rapists, pedophiles, and murderers. Right? Those are the people you're fighting. Like if someone told me, "Hey man, Christ doesn't exist," I'd still hold the Christian sword because it's the best way to battle globalists. Like they hate anything to do with the Bible. Like go read their stuff. They don't really give a fuck about other religions. Not that much. Very little actually. They don't even do mock rituals or the raising of harem abif or any of those. They don't do mock rituals for other religions, just Christianity. Now, yeah. Well, you look at it, Muslims are our greatest allies. Israel is our greatest. No, Muslims are our greatest allies for sure in this, but they're not end game. Most Muslims even know it. They know they're only Muslims because they're families, right? Like my family's not Christian. Actually, they'd laugh at it. They'd be like, "Yeah, it's kind of like old mumbo jumbo stuff." They're very like secular. That's why Elmi is the greatest mod. He's the greatest Muslim I've ever met. He's just always at the computer, just going. This guy does fucking coke and just goes through tons and tons of conspiracy for you guys. And then he links us. Christ is the Messiah in Islam. Yeah, I mean, Christ is like everyone's main character, right? It's just everyone weakens it a bit. They go, well, actually, he was just a man. He was this, he was it. But they're all afraid to talk shit. Yeah, I believe in the Antichrist, the false prophet, which is different, and the beast system. I do believe in that. I mean, it is accurate, right? And it didn't really have to be in the Bible, but it's pretty accurate what's going on. Okay, let's say Jesus wasn't hated. You gonna switch religions, bro? No, I don't think I'd switch religions. If Freemasons were not talking about mocking Christ and doing all that, if they were just saying all religion bad, I don't think I would subscribe to a religion like that, right? If you want godly society, why wouldn't you put highest IQ on top? Because highest IQ are philosophers who are bisexual pedophiles. Look throughout history who's the highest IQ, dude. You're a fucking retard. Okay, look at your Plato, look at Aristotle, look at all these guys. They're fucking pedos. They're all fucking pedos. That's who you want on top?
Let's go, pal. I'm making a withdrawal.
Whoa, how the hell did you do that?
Sabidi, I donated $5. 1950s cannot return when the theology taught in every church is from Jesuit-run seminaries.
True.
Seedbeds since the School of Alexandria.
That guy is so based. Who is that? Subidai? That is so based. The Jesuit Vatican order. Can we finish this?
That any streamer that platforms Ye on their channel is going to get banned, and have Twitch remind everybody, tap at the sign and say, we prohibit hatred, we prohibit hate speech, and so on. The ADL is working overtime to make sure that he's deplatformed from Twitter, deplatformed from Twitch, that nobody can have him on their show. If it was really such a benefit to them, you'd think that they'd be going around promoting that stuff. And that gets back to what
that's
we were
why I
talking
raised the
about.
point. I don't think he works for the ADL, and I agree with you.
Right. And it gets back to the point which I was making before the break, which is that there is this, I think, very pernicious mindset that a lot of people have, that if you start to really go after the power structure, if you really say, you know what, it's Jewish gangsters, you know what, it's the Zionists, it's Israel, people have this idea in their head that there's something that's not clever or not subtle about this. That
Has Nick ever critiqued the Vatican? He goes hard on conspiracy, doesn't he?
we've got to hide and be careful and play games. I don't want to play games. That's why I'm up with
I know he's a Catholic, but he's never talked about the Vatican?
Ye, because Ye's not playing games anymore. I know that Ye's not going to be at the Republican Jewish Coalition retreat.
He said with Destiny he trusts the Pope and the Vatican. No shot. Wouldn't Nick's position be that they're actual Zionists? He actually said he likes the Pope? What about all the pagan ceremony and stuff that they're into? Why do you believe in the Trinity? Because the Trinity is everywhere, and it's been in every single religion, right? You believe in the Trinity. You, your parents, you, above, and the earth. The Trinity is everywhere. The three colors that blend into seven of the rainbow. The Trinity is everywhere. That's the magic number, is 3. Everyone believes in the Trinity, right? That's you, your wife, and your offspring, right? Or male, in Masonic literature, it's male, female, and the orgasm. That's how they word it, because they're degenerates. He defers to the Pope on religious matters. Wow, I didn't know that. He said that on Destiny? Why do you think the high IQ royals were depicted as sensitive, contrasted with the cruel low IQ peasants? Well, who do you think wrote that? Hold on. Are you on my team where you think the royals drink blood, adrenochrome, and do organ harvesting? They don't sound that sensitive to me. I don't even get where you are politically. You're like on my side, but you believe that the royals were not inbred murderers and psychopaths? Like, how can you be in my channel thinking that? This channel is built off shitting on the queen. No, it'd be a ton more money if I was a Muslim. You know, I love Muslims because they've supported me more than anyone, right? It's just I can't do it in good conscience. You know, I can't. It just, there's way too much hatred for Christ for me to be like, you know what, I'm going to switch teams. You know, the same people who hate me and destroyed my life hate Christ. It's a no-brainer for me. Now, one thing we're not going to do, we're not going to shit on allies. No way. This channel, you're never allowed to critique Muslims and Christians. Hell no. Take that shit to Hassan, bro. Don't ever bring that shit here. You know, it's fun, it's cute. I'm not really those guys who start crying, oh, I insulted your religion, but it's so fucking divisive for no reason. It's such a waste of time. It looks like a Hassan Piker chat, such bad optics. And dude, you got a war to fight. You don't have time for that shit, right? Both of you guys don't want to be cucks with your wife. Just agree to disagree. Huge. It's just horrible optics. It just makes me look like a bad leader. Don't do that. Yeah, I've been saying this since the Samira Haas thing. I put it on my YouTube channel. What happened to my thing? It broke. That looks kind of cool, actually. Appreciate that. Sincerely, Fate. There is way more hatred for Islam than Christ. Well, the Muslims in chat disagree with you, too. But okay. No, I don't do that thing where it's like babies are being bombed. Because this channel, we talk about abortion, too, which is the same thing. Okay? It's like both teams are getting it really bad. Zherka, why do Muslims always get butt hurt over Christians then? I don't know if they do. This is just an aggressive chat. I don't know if Speaker's Corner is that disrespectful to Christ. I think they're pretty like, they see him as a prophet, dude. I don't think they're screaming, Christ is this, Christ is that. I'm pretty sure they're supposed to see him as a prophet. At the end of the day, listen, at the end of the day, one team got it right and one team's going to heaven, okay? Now let's finish this.
In Vegas, begging the Jews to endorse them for the 24 run. I know he's not going to be at the ZOA begging the Zionists for their favor, for their patronage in the race, like Trump did. I know he's not going to take $100 million from Sheldon Adelson and do all kinds of favors for Israel and leave Christians and white Americans out to dry. So, you know, we have to have the fight. Eventually, we've got to lean in and go in. We're in a war, not, of course, violently, but we've got to lean in and actually fight on the battlefield and have the confrontation. So many people in politics want to rationalize, and this isn't you, because you're a courageous man, and we love you. We see you as an uncle, quite honestly. I've been watching you since I was in high school, and all the Groypers have. We love you. But there are a lot of people in the institutions who are going to rationalize their cowardice by saying, oh, that's just not smart to say that. Oh, well, it wasn't strategic to say that. Well, at some point, whether it be now.
You know what's weird about Nick is the Groypers, before they were called Groypers, were called something else that was very bad optics. And then the optics changed it from super racist to super, like, sexual, being groped. Right? It's like so childish when you think about he's at the front of this Kanye political movement.
Then later, we've got to say, you know what? The Jews are not going to control the destiny of America. Israel can no longer control the destiny.
You know what's funny about Nick is I used to identify with this guy so much because I remember tuning in. People are like, yo, you got to check this guy out. This is years ago. And he'd just be talking about SpongeBob, right? He'd be talking about the hash-slinging slasher. And I'd tune in. I'd be like, it's supposed to be a political show. What's he doing? Is this the same guy that they told me to check out? And he's talking about SpongeBob for 20 minutes. And I knew every single episode. I was like, whoa, it's so weird seeing a Zoomer do politics and like incorporating SpongeBob in it.
destiny of America. 1776 happened because we wanted to break away from a country thousands of miles away, dictating to us what was happening in our own country. But now we're subordinating ourselves to Israel in exactly the same way.
Well, sure, Nick. I mean, sure. So let me have a few minutes now. There's no doubt that there's foreign powers and corporations controlling America. And there's no doubt that there's a couple different big Jewish lobbies that are powerful, and there's the Chi-Com lobby and a bunch of other lobbies. But when you said earlier, well, you cover Bill Gates and the WEF and some obscure, stuff. Those guys literally have penetrated the governments, the cabinets. They're running things. They want a eugenics, depopulation, world government operation. And if you actually look who fills it up, it's a bunch of former, Nazis, grandkids, and German royalty. And I'm not saying it's a Nazi conspiracy. I'm saying the real power structure is a scientific transhumanist movement. And while we're all down here battling over all these different ethnic...
John Zherka, why does the Bible say 2 men cannot lay together, but 2 women is okay? Because the Bible's based as fuck, man. Right? 2 fucking baddies. Just fucking... And you're just sitting there watching with the Bible on one hand. You got 2 baddies making out. Right? Damn. That's too fucking base, right? As soon as 2 dudes kiss, is no! But 2 baddies start making out, and you're like, shit, bro. Shit. I don't even know that part, Like, when I read the Bible, this was like years ago. Right now I go to bits and pieces.
Systems, they are taking over. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, and I understand that. I just think that a lot of it is obfuscation. I think that, like, for example, the World Economic Forum is a forum. And when you look at who goes to Davos for the retreat, it's all the top government leaders, it's all the business leaders, and they all are beholden to Jewish interests. So that'd be like saying, we're going to hold a conference in a Sheraton hotel and say the Sheraton hotel is the problem, not the people occupying it and giving the speeches and their background.
Sure, but I mean, the Bilderberg Group is the most powerful organization in the world from our research. The World Economic Forum is...
John Zherka, why isn't the Jewish religion ever talked about on this channel? John Zherka, I've never seen you do that. You are bought. I'm the only channel who ever spoke about the Holy Talmud and Zohar for 12 hours straight with documentaries. I'm the only channel on Twitch who ever did a 4-hour anti-vax documentary during the fucking pandemic. And I said, guys, let's go emote only mode. Let's just watch our steps. Whoa, whoa. But am I a fucking idiot that chooses to get banned to look what? Controversial? No, it's politics. I know how to navigate. I'm not a fucking retard, okay? And that's really what it is. It's like, if you really think getting banned before you're powerful is smart, you're an idiot. Point blank, you're an idiot, right? You're an idiot. That's like if I told you guys to just start a channel and go hard day one. What use are you to me if you can't even host me? You're an idiot.
Their mouthpiece. So when we say that, I mean, this is the real supreme mafia in my view. George Soros is there, all this. So let me raise this. You bring up...
And by the way, why I focus more on Jesuits in the Vatican is because it's true. I'm not going to sit here and say, I swear to God. Look, follow the Satanism to its logical conclusion, and it's in the fucking Vatican. And Christians hate when I say this, or Catholics hate when I say this, but you Catholics are being subverted by Jesuits more than anyone, you fucking retards. You guys are going directly to hell. You can see my private group chats where when I critique Zionism, it doesn't end with me going on a huge rant. It always ends with, but all the power's in the Vatican and no one's allowed to talk about that. Well, they're allowed to talk about it, but no one does. No one will talk about the Jesuit oath. No one will talk about how the exact same rituals are in Balenciaga and Freemasonry. And it's like, why am I going to attack one capstone of power? Why not the top of the top with the Black Pope? Why? Because the right wing is not allowed to do that, because then they alienate a Catholic market, right? And they want the Catholic dollars. Me, I don't want to go to hell just taking money from people who support the fucking Pope, right? Like, I'll take Catholic money. I'm not taking Jesuit money. Never, right? And it's weird because when you look into it, there's not one channel who talks about the Vatican at all. Alex Jones barely scratches the surface on it, And to me, it's scary because you see the far left who critiques Israel for other reasons and the far right who critiques Israel. They'll never touch Switzerland or the Swiss Guard that's in the Vatican and how it's connected. They won't touch any of that. Why? Because it's boring to them. Why is it boring? Because it's not about Jewish people. And it's like, really, Walter White is the only one who got it 100% right. I mean, he's really, when I knew the truth, but I didn't know it like him. I have no idea who sent me it or if I found it myself, but Walter White, I don't know if I'm saying the name right, that guy, that Anglican, that guy goes so deep into Vatican lore, it'll scare you how satanic it is. I remember when I first got interested in that was like a year ago. Was it Walter Veith? Walter Veith. God damn, I can never remember this. Yeah, Walter Veith is the first person to turn me to the Bible fully. And this guy I kept calling gay. I kept making fun of this guy with long hair. I forget his name. He did a whole thing on Masonry and Satanism, and he was nailing it, and he was getting more based as he went on. And then he looked at the camera as we're all making fun of him for his long hair and all that stupid shit. And he looked at the camera and he's like, how can they hate something that's not, how can they hate something that's not real? And he's talking about Christ. And that's after he explained all the rituals, all the mock rituals, blah, blah, blah. Forget that guy's name. But that guy is the first guy to make me raise an eyebrow. And I'm like, my first prayer was like a Christian prayer and it worked. But I can't do this. This is an old book. Then that guy. And then Walter Veith knocked it out of the park, right? Because I'm like, as an Albanian, I'd have to be a Catholic. And some of those rituals are fucking weird. And then Walter Veith was the first person. He just literally can convert anyone. I know Muslims who watch them and they're like, whoa, he don't fuck around. You don't want to debate that guy, right? But he slaughters Catholics pretty much in debates, and he slaughters Muslims in debates. He slaughters everyone, or he would. But I can show you guys him right after this. I'm in the mood, actually.
The head of the ADL going on programs, and here's a clip, saying, well, since Ye says we have power, we had to use our power and crush him. Why would he even say that? Talk about a dog whistle. Here it is.
Y'all are proving somebody like Kanye, right?
And yeah, why I took him super serious is anytime someone's just preaching Islam to me, I find it very one-sided and like, oh, you might be lying to me. Anytime someone's just preaching Christ to me, I go, you're lying to me. But when a dude is going against Islam and Catholicism at the exact same time, I go, this guy cannot be lying. Because he has like so much anger for everything, every religion, anytime he sees anything pagan. So I was like, there's no way this dude's fucking lying. But I did have one question for Walter. I just forgot what it was. Man, if I can get him on a stream, that would be great.
Right. Because Kanye says, hey, Jewish people have all the power, and then he loses everything.
Well, look, the insidious nature of anti-Semitism and these tropes about power.
No, Islam's not pagan, but he points out a lot of subversion that happens with royal Saudis. That video where he talks about the Kaaba, and then he also goes after Catholicism and the Vatican with how they have phallic worship, obelisks, which are really buildings too, right? That's why they don't make beautiful designs anymore. And people laugh. They're like, a penis? A phallic symbol? How's that satanic? Because that's all there is to life, is pussy and dick. That's what creates life. Okay? That's it. There's nothing else. Your video game don't matter. Your job, your career. Nothing is more powerful than that. That's everything. That's what wars are fought for. You understand? So yes, it would be an obelisk, a phallic symbol. Mohammed Hijab washes this guy. Well, Mohammed Hijab recently has been exposed. So I don't know about that, right? By the way, if you want to be a Muslim, if you're halfway turning to a Muslim and you don't want to hear this nonsense, you're like, well, I just don't like Zherka. Go to Elmi and chat. That motherfucker will convert you. That's the only Muslim I'll ever trust in this chat. That he is so fucking good at what he does. Like, he does not beat around the bush for any question you have, blah, blah, blah. So if you're a Muslim who's just like, that's your go-to, that's all you want to do in life, go talk to Elmi, don't talk to me. And guess what? Elmi is a flat earther. He doesn't deny reality. Yeah. Elmi in chat. And Elmi, there's another guy named Import who memorized the whole Quran. He's a Saudi young kid. Get that guy on, because that guy is also the biggest flat earther in the Discord. Because if there's one thing that Muslims cannot do that Christians can, is just they can't call out NASA. They're like, oh, NASA wouldn't lie to me. I don't know why Muslims are so connected to NASA. It's fucking scary. You talk to them about any NASA deception, and they're like, no, I just can't. No, bro, they're in space right now. It's like, really? That's how hard you'll defend an American military wing?
Is Kanye can say these things. Jews have all the power. They're controlling everything. And if we don't get him, if we don't deal with that, the myth spreads and it takes root.
If we don't get him, if we don't shut him down, the myth spreads. Wow. He's saying exactly what Ye is saying.
That's right. Well, and that's exactly what I'm trying to get at here is when you go on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, and I'm not saying you meaning you, but anybody for that matter, when anybody goes on Twitter and says, you could say Bill Gates runs the media, you could say the World Economic Forum runs the media. We have to acknowledge there is this strain of thought in conservatism where it's taking us in a direction that the elites are not afraid of, the elites don't really care about, and we know that because of the enforcement. We know that it's like that plane with all the bullet holes in it that comes back and they say, where are we going to fortify the plane? Well, the planes that are coming back with the bullet holes, those are the places where the plane can afford to be shot. And it's sort of the same thing when you go on Twitter and say, Bill Gates runs the media, the Chi-Coms runs the media, crickets. But you go on Twitter and say the Jews run the media, and you have the ADL chairman going to Adidas, pulling your $1 billion deal.
Well, Nick, I got to disagree with you there. They've been really suppressing us.
He went after the Chi-Coms in front. Alex hates this. Dude, you can't attack Alex Jones' Chi-Com position. What the fuck? No.
For the WEF and the New World Order and Bill Gates. They've been sent, that came out in the documents. They have been censoring the living hell out of people challenging that. We'll be right back. Stay with us. All right, Nick Fuentes.
Oh, Alex wasn't even mad. His Chi-Com position. No.
Fuentes is our guest. We're having a debate here, a discussion about these issues. He says he's good to take phone calls coming up later in the next hour and hit some of the other big issues. But so, Nick, watching what the ADL is doing, watching what the left's doing and their racial-based political system, how do you see this shaking out? What do you see happening the next few years with all of this? Because I got to tell you, I actually saw the corporate media come out against you and Ye on the air, and I personally, don't like.
I think they're gonna get killed. I think Nick and Ye are gonna get killed. I keep it 1,000% on this channel, God-fearing channel. If I don't tell the truth, I'm going to hell in a handbasket. I think they're getting killed.
Like any flavor of authoritarianism, and thought it was more of a publicity stunt. Just what I picked up from it. I mean, I don't know what was planned. You're saying it wasn't planned. I believe you, because it felt completely unplanned. But at the end of the day, people have their First Amendment. How do you see this attempt to crush everybody going? Elon Musk is I think, not perfect, but he's going a long way. The power structure is totally discredited. And what I saw on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, everywhere else, without even trying to look, was most people liked it. They
Can someone cash out me $3 for food, please? Well, we are a good Christian channel, so no, you're going to starve. You're going to starve, and we're going to ja in the chat. We're going to Mexican laugh at you. Everyone ja's in the chat for this guy. You are going to starve, all right? Christians and Muslims are laughing at you right now. There is none, and there's no, what's the Muslim, charity called Zakat. Fuck, man, I forget. This is years ago. Then there's none of that here, okay? All that money goes to me, all right? All that fucking money goes to me fighting the globalist agenda.
They weren't even anti-Semitic. They weren't even against the Democratic Party and all that. But they were really, really just sick of the censorship, saying, screw it, burn down the whole world. By
the way, for the love of God, someone upload some of these streams on YouTube channels. I don't like to upload just bits and pieces. Just don't let these streams die off. Like, this week's been good. Especially the Dunkel War. Whoever makes a documentary of Dunkel War with all the laughs, I will fucking subscribe to your channel live with everyone.
Is that what you're getting at?
Whoa. It's broken. Let's get some non-07s in the chat. Thank you so much.
It's something like that, but it's a little bit bigger because it is poignant. It's not just sort of this directionless, hey, screw it, burn it all down. It's a lot more directed and precise, which is we're going to finally say it with our chest. A lot of people, I think, were dissatisfied with the Trump presidency in the first term and seemingly how little progress we made. That's something I'd sort of told him at the dinner was, look, in 2016, the message was sort of insufficient. Here we are in 24, coming up on the 24 cycle, and it seems like it's been moderated. It's more moderate than it was in 16. Things are getting worse. We're running out of time. And we're retreating, we're moving backwards. So in terms of joining up with Ye and getting on board with this movement, it's about getting behind a guy who's saying we need to hold America to a Christian standard. It's about saying we need to call out the Jewish media. And he's been saying, look, we don't care about honestly, we don't care about your grandmother that died in the Holocaust. I'm sorry. That's always what they come with. It's always the guilt trip. It's the emotional propaganda. I know that sounds callous. I know that sounds insensitive, but it's no different than any of this other racial grievance politics over slavery or over colonization or genocide. I see no difference between AOC calling us colonizers and these Jewish groups calling us Holocaust deniers. It's the same weaponization of racial grievance to browbeat us into submission. We've got to make our country free and independent and strong, and that means making it Christian and coherent.
What you're saying is the left keeps calling everybody Hitler. The left keeps saying all white people are bad. The left keeps saying Western civilization is evil. And so you're saying, I didn't kill your great-grandparents, your grandparents. I don't deserve to be called this. So if you're going to call me this, I'm going to go ahead and embrace it. What you're saying is you're not going to live in guilt anymore.
No, what he's saying is, what about the grandparents in Syria, in Palestine? What about the babies? That's happening today. You can't do this. You got to stifle every conversation with tears. You can't do this. In politics especially, it's too much. And you know what's funny, though? Politics is emotions. Like, nobody runs on a logical campaign. It's all emotion run. That's what sucks. It's like you have to play this game.
That's exactly right. We can't change the past, and God bless all the victims of every tragedy in human history, but it's 2022. We live in America.
Well, let's talk about this. They've got national statistics out that are pretty accurate. 2% of the South owned slaves during slavery. That's a very conservative number. It might have been lower, but 2%. And something.
You see Peterson talk to Netanyahu. Fuck Netanyahu, bro.
Like maybe 10% of white population in the U.S. had some ancestor involved.
Fuck Peterson.
Slavery. But somebody getting off an airplane from Poland or from Russia or from Czechoslovakia or from Germany or from the Netherlands who never had an ancestor involved with slavery or from Iceland is immediately told you owe reparations and you're a bad person for what you never did or your family never did. That is preposterous.
Say, look, what the fuck, bro?
Isaiah chapter 49, verse 23. And king shall be thy nursing father.
Now this is when the roles switch. Because at first, we was your nursing father. We were kings, but we was your nursing father. When you took care of your children. Our women nursed your children, your babies, right before they would nurse their own. Read.
And their queens thy nursing mother. They shall bow down to thee.
Now, this is where the good part gets to. This is what you can do. So since our kings were your nursing fathers and our queens was your nursing mothers, this is when the roles switch. This was when your kings is going to be our nursing fathers and your queens our nursing mothers. They shall, your kings and queens shall do what?
They shall bow down to thee with their face toward the earth.
So that's the first thing you can do. You can bow down to the priests and prophets of the Lord. That proves that you love black people. So you got to get down on your knees. Go ahead, I'm waiting. See, that's a proof. That ain't no money. Ain't no money involved.
Look what a godless person does. Imagine getting on your knees for anything besides God.
Ain't no money involved. Brother. Move it. You understand? Continue. You understand? You
Look
gotta
at
get
that.
down on your knees. You understand? You gotta get down on your knees. Go ahead and read.
With their face toward the earth.
With your face toward the earth.
No.
Now, here's what you gotta do next. Just give him a hand. Give him a hand. Now that's proven.
Here, I would do the same thing if he asked me, right? I would just be like this, right? I would lay down right to the ground, and then you see Tapia, my moderator. He's in the mod position, run behind me, and then he jumps off my back with a spear. Shoot! Throws the fucking spear, and then, you know the movie 300?
They proven.
God damn it!
You understand? Give them a hand, man. That's right. Give them a hand, man.
Come on, man.
That they love black people, man.
They
That
love
respect
black
the priests
people.
and prophets of the Lord.
Come on, Ayathan.
Come on, Ayathan. Caparium.
Come on.
Officer.
Come on, man.
Come on, man.
Look at this.
Why you allowed?
Look at it. This is the end. This is the crossroads of your liberal destiny, okay? This is where liberalism takes you. You have to choose. Are you going to be the badass liberal that doesn't kiss the shoe and just walks away? That's fight language, if you ask me.
A simple deed to prove that they love black people, man. That they respect the priests and prophets of the Lord.
Come on, Ayathan.
Come on, Ayathan. Caparium.
Come on.
Officer.
Come on, man.
Come on, man.
Why you allow her to be treated like this?
I have a voice and I can make up my own mind.
She's attractive. What in the fuck? Oh my God, they asked the boyfriend. And she's like, I'm a strong, independent woman, actually. Oh my God, she's suffering.
Officer.
Come on, man.
Come on, man.
Why you allow her to be treated like this?
I have a voice and I can make up my own mind.
Oh my God. Oh my, she's not a 3 out of 10. Any woman kissing shoe is just, that is the most attractive shit ever, bro. Do you know which channel you're in right now? This is the Hate Woman Network, okay? You guys are lost. Are you guys fucking lost? It's a joke. I'm Dave Chappelle.
It's not a voice.
Most High in Christ, man. You understand? Give them a hand, man.
That's right.
Give them a hand, man.
Come on, man.
They proving that they not like their forefathers, man.
That's right.
You give respect. This is how you salute a priest and prophet of the Lord, man.
That's right.
This is how you salute a priest and prophet of the Lord. You just
Damn, look at his face. He's like, fuck. Watch too much Destiny. And you I shouldn't watch that blue hair fucking bitch. It's like with the tier 3 when he realizes, fuck, I should have been on that Zherka train. Right?
just got to do a simple thing is bow down and kiss the boots of the prophets, man. It's an honorable thing you doing, Mr. White, Miss White woman. And white man, hey, look. Oh, the white man won't do it, though.
Yeah, he had to do it too.
You got to do oh, you wouldn't know most of the Christ.
It's kind of attractive what she's doing, right? In a sick way where it's like they're submissive, you know? Like I wouldn't ask someone to do that to me, but I'm just saying the submission I haven't seen. Of course, it comes from a black guy. White chicks love black guys. It's like proven. Now this channel needs to get shut down. Ban me already. I'm too funny. I'm too funny for this fucking Twitch shit.
Bow down and kiss the boots of the prophets, man.
Right.
It's an honorable thing you doing, Mr. White, Miss White Woman.
He said, Miss White Woman.
White man, hey, look. Oh, the white man won't do it, though.
He's like, now they're pressuring him. He's like, holy fuck, we just came out to get some Jewish bagels, bro. What the hell you got us into? And look at her. She's like, I'm bored at home. I've been bored a while. You haven't been smashing me against the wall, so I guess we're going to form the greatest traumatic experience of your life, honey. And he's like playing it off.
Yeah, he had to do it too.
You got to oh, you wouldn't know most of the time.
Oh, if you don't kiss the shoe, you're literally racist. Do you hate black people? You have to kiss the shoe. If you don't kiss the shoe, you're pro-slavery. You're a slave owner. You have to kiss it. Look at him rethinking. He's like, God damn, if I just grab the Bible, bro. Grab the here. This could have saved you, bro. This could have saved you, but instead you chose to play StarCraft, you fucking idiot. Greatest trauma of your life's happening right before, with the love of your life.
Get it in.
Come on, man.
We gonna get it in.
Come on,
man. You gotta step up, Mr. White man.
White man.
Step up, Mr. White man. I'll step down.
Oh, no. Oh, no, it's the Joker storyline. Arthur, what are you doing, Arthur? Oh, no. Oh, and that's how you create a Nazi. That guy went home. That guy went home and became a Nazi that same night. That guy subscribed to Ethan Ralph that same night. That guy, oh my God, dude. Imagine in front of your girl, bro. In front of your girl. Jeez, man. He even made the kissy sound.
Right. We gonna get it in.
Come on, man.
We gonna get it in.
Come on,
man. You gotta step up, Mr. White man.
White man.
Step up, Mr. White man.
This is how you handle this, right? You just go up to these guys and you go, guys, I know Jesus was black, but you don't gotta do all this to me, man. You don't gotta do, and then that's kind of giving them like, you know, that's kind of giving them the energy of like, hey man, hey, I'm not a hater, right? That's what you gotta do. Okay. What else would you do? There's fucking 10 of them and they're big, right? This is like, you're stuck. I would be on my knees too. I just fucking kiss the boot. I take the boot off and I lick it. I'll lick the boot to show that I'm in solidarity with black people. Matter of fact, IRL stream, we're going to that block and we're kissing every shoe. That's what we gotta do, bro. Because I'm not racist. But after I kiss those shoes, I will be the greatest racist the internet ever sees. Like the craziest arc of my life. Elijah, are you in chat? Panda, I have to, I'm sorry. No, but really, guys, let me tell you something. If there was a sword to my neck, I would have kissed that shoe, right? Jeez, man. And people are like, why do you hate liberalism? That's liberalism right there. Look at the submission, right? Look at her. You know this girl does yoga and reads Aleister Crowley.
No, most of the time. We gonna get it in.
Come on, man.
We gonna get it in.
Come on,
man. You gotta step up, Mr. White man.
White man.
Step up, Mr. White man. I'll step down here again, man. I step down here again, man.
Ouch.
Most High in Christ.
Right.
Hey, I ain't feel it.
Damn. He didn't even feel it through his shoe, dude. Damn.
No. There you go. There you go. Come on.
This is a hate group.
Right, man.
This is not
That's right, man.
Most High in Christ, man.
Come on.
Most High in Christ.
Come on, man. You gonna line up?
Line up.
Come on.
Line up.
Come on. That's right, man.
This is where Reddit irony humor takes you, chat. Where he goes home with his girl and he goes, I mean, it's just kissing a shoe. It's not a big deal. I loved kissing the shoe, actually. He goes back to Reddit. We're laughing, but really, this is a sad thing. This is a very sad thing. You know, these same people report me kissing shoes.
That's right, man. Only the blood of Jesus. That's right.
DGG donated $5. DGG loves BBC.
You understand?
Go ahead, young
This
man.
is
Get
how
out
you
those
salute
kisses,
a priest
man.
and prophet of the Lord.
That's right.
This is how you get mercy.
That's right.
You understand? You want to get some white people, you want to get some mercy when the Lord comes back, man, send Christ back. This is how you get some mercy, man.
That's right.
Now this white man and this white woman was gonna get mercy when the Lord returns, man.
Right.
This is why I roll with Muslims, bro. Right? Because they'd all be like, yo, we're fighting these guys, Zherka. We're going to fuck these guys up. They're trying to get us to kiss shoes. Kiss shoes? Are you serious? This is why my buddies are Muslim, bro. We go to war, bro. We go to fucking war. Right? God, if you're a Christian and this happens to you, right? A liberal, I understand, right? You guys will fucking do anything. But if you're a man of faith and this happens to you, like, wow.
You understand? Everybody got it? Everybody got it?
That's right. That's right.
You understand?
That's right.
You understand?
So the next step is
Now the next step is to go empty out your bank accounts and
There's more. Damn, what part of the Bible is this? I gotta learn Hebrew, man. What part of the Bible is this?
contribute to the prophets of the Lord,
That's
man.
right. You are the man
Contribute
of God.
something, man. You understand?
You're gonna be needing this.
You understand? You ought to contribute something to the prophets of the Lord, man.
Kiss a man.
Hey,
man.
you understand? Listen to me, Miss White Woman and Mr. White Man. He's a Sambo coon. Don't pay attention to him. Give him another hand, man. Give
That's
him another
right.
hand.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you stand up.
That's right.
You're a credit to your nation.
You're a credit.
Because at least they were willing to accept that their forefathers did something wrong to black people.
That's right.
Bro, I gotta be here. Yo, mark my words. If this is ever close to me, I'm going with my own microphone and saying, hey, fuck you, man. Fuck you guys. And we're gonna have like 1 million views. Because I'm pretty sure these guys are gonna be like, fuck me, fuck you. That would be so fucking badass. Even when I lose and get jumped, I come out like a fucking hero, right? People go, holy shit, you just stood up to those guys, right? Or you see me like this. Yo, chat, they're a lot bigger in person. They're fucking huge in person, dude. It should have been there. Can you imagine if it all went wrong? Right? I'll just pretend. I'll go red pill the next episode. I go, yeah, guys, don't take shit from anyone. Right? Well, John, what about that time you kissed the... Ban him, mods. Ban him.
Better than your president. That's right. That's right. That's right. I'm going to show you better than Donald Trump. You understand? And this regime, get on your knees. That's right. What these white people did, man.
That's right.
They showed you all today. They showed up all of white America today. That's right.
That's right.
You understand?
Is this... It was Kanye talking about these Jewish guys?
That's what you gotta do to show that you're different from Christopher Columbus.
That's right.
That you're different from Andrew Jackson.
That's right.
That you're different from all these white devils on the face of the earth. That's all black people, man.
That's right.
Jeez, bro. You give a black guy Judaism. Holy shit, bro. That guy's overdosing on Hanukkah, man. Those guys need to chill the fuck out. What the fuck was that? That's Star Remfan type energy, man.
At the same time, you know, I am sad that George Soros helped round up Jews and get them killed. I am sorry that Hitler did things, but I didn't do it. Both my grandfathers went and fought Hitler, and then I get the ADL up there saying I'm Hitler. So I understand that perspective. I just don't get then using Hitler as a touchstone because I don't see Hitler as a good person.
Well, I like what Scott Adams said about it, which is that it sort of reframes the entire debate. I mean, have you considered, and Richard Spencer said this as well, and I think we disagree on a lot. You know, he's not a Christian, and that's a big source of disagreement. But But what about this fact that our entire morality and our whole political spectrum is defined by Hitler? It's like reductio ad Hitler. Every argument has to come back to, well, Hitler was the most evil one. So whoever's the most proximate to Hitler is the worst one, is the bad one. I'm a Christian. I'm from Chicago. I was born in 1998. Hitler, the Holocaust. What does this have to do with me? What does this have to do with our country?
Again, it's
what
a
does that have to do with
rejection of the
founding
Hollywood
fathers?
ethos that we're all Hitler and Hollywood is God. I get it. Let's play a clip of Scott Adams, the creator of Dilbert and philosopher, since you raised that point. Here it is.
Dilbert.
I would not rule out the fact that Ye is trying to break the system, and he might. Instead of, he's not trying to win the game. He's trying to throw the board up. You know what I mean? He knows he can't win the game because he didn't make the rules. The rules are made by other people, and he doesn't have an advantage there. So if he plays the game by its rules, he loses. But Ye is not the person who loses. It's not in his nature to not think he can succeed. So he just takes it to the next step. What is the next step? The next step is you throw the whole board over. So he came into Twitter with a Raelian logo that he might have known was not provocative in that context, or as provocative. He may have tested the limits of Musk's free speech and broken. In my opinion, he broke Elon Musk. Elon Musk. And it wasn't because Elon Musk is dumb, because he's not. It's not because Elon Musk is uninformed, because.
And I'll tell you what the big takeaway here is. The media grabbed this story and then dropped it very quickly because they didn't like the way it was going. Did you notice that too, Nick?
Absolutely. Yeah, they're terrified. They don't want to have the conversation. And it's interesting because he goes on these shows and they browbeat him and they say, why did you say the death con? Why did you say, don't you care? And he says, well, what about me? What about my contracts? What about what's going on in my world? And they say, well, yeah, we'll get to that. We'll follow up with that. We'll circle back in a minute, but nobody's circling back. They don't care. And they see that in the comment sections on Twitter, they see in the polls, people agree with Ye. More people. It's the same effect that there was in 2016. They called it the silent Trump vote. I know you remember. A lot of the Zoomers who follow me, they were like in middle school when the election happened. I was freshman in college. But they called it the silent Trump vote, where people agreed with Trump, but you know how the culture was. If you wear a MAGA hat, as I did on a college campus, people attacked me in public. They threw stuff at me. They said nasty things about me online. And more people than many would care to admit feel the same way. They're like, we don't care about this Holocaust museum business. We're sick of this ADL coming around and saying there's 6 million and all this. It's ridiculous. It's, in some sense, we're already past that point. If we're at that point of ridicule, if we're at that point of indifference, all that needs to happen is for the rest of the process to play out where types like Ye, people like Ye, visionaries, courageous people are going to stand up and say, we don't care. Do whatever you want.
I just got to say, though, again, the other polar opposite should not be Hitler. It should be like George Washington or Jesus Christ. What do you want to cover next hour? And we'll also put your websites, Cozy.
Killing God's animals and consuming their flesh and blood is satanic. Just because they are not human doesn't change nature and the act itself in God's eyes. Bless up and eat fruits and vegetables. You'll live longer for it. True. But those animals are rapists, and I like slaughtering them. I really enjoy it, actually. Right? I enjoy slaughtering those rapists and those pedophiles. Okay? Yes, chickens are rapists. If they were your size, they'd be raping humans. That's what they are, okay? And I love the taste of chicken.
TV, where people can find your show and other shows. We'll put that on screen. We're at Infowars.com and Band.video for the new viewers and people that are tuning in right now. But what do you want to hit next hour?
Well, I just want to say I agree with you about Jesus. It's Jesus first. He's our leader, not Hitler. Okay, we love Jesus, and we want Jesus to appoint a leader to follow in 24, and I think we'll get one. You can find me on cozy.tv/Nick. And for the next hour, I'd love to get into some of the other things Ye's been talking about. He said a lot. He said a lot on the show. He talked a lot about pornography. He talked about the family, Instagram, trafficking. There's a lot that he's putting out there. It's such a shame that people are so hung up on the taboo, politically correct stuff.
Sure, but he had to know the taboo. I get it. But you guys did bring up the taboo, and I think that's the whole point. But I think You know, I have a clip of you saying that you didn't like Hitler, but then you.
Yeah.
So, were you a closet Hitler supporter before, and now you're a full Hitler?
I'm not a closeted Hitler supporter. And I want to say this. Are you calling me baby Hitler so the time travelers will kill me? You ever hear everybody always says, if you went back in time, would you kill some moral dilemma? Would you kill Hitler as a baby? Are you trying to confuse the time travelers?
I didn't think of that. All right, Nick, stay there. First Amendment, folks. People don't like it, but it's here. It's alive and well. And the people are waking up. They're saying no to censorship. And that's why we should have every idea out. We have an open, free debate about it. We're going to go to break. Please don't forget, do your Christmas shopping at InfoWarsStore.com. We're fighting the globalists toe-to-toe. We need funds to stay on air. InfoWarsStore.com, InfoWars Life, incredible products, DNA Force Plus, Vitamin Mineral Fusion, still in stock, but selling out quickly. And the new line, InfoWars MD, is so amazing. We got 95% curcuminoid with the new product.
That's it? Is that bedtime? 6-7 hour stream. Sheesh. These streams are bangers, dude. The shorter ones are so much better. That's everything. I covered everything, so you can't say I'm hiding. Oh, you didn't cover this, therefore you're afraid to talk about it. I think I got everything. There's more?
Turmeric 95. We've also got the great nootropic Mushroom Blast, Mushroom Boost. It's all there. So many other great products at InfoWarsStore.com.
What is wrong with Band?
Or call toll free 888-253-3139. But seriously, that whole line is amazing. The first 10 products are out. Turmeric 95, Libido RX, Better Mood, Nitric Boost, Mushroom Max, Ageless Vitality, Superfood Greens, and more. Alex Jones here back live with Nick Fuentes for another hour. I'm going to give the number out at the start of the next segment for folks that want to talk about that interview a week and a half ago. The state of the world, nothing censored. All we ask for is a good, clean phone line and that you have your points, and we move on to the next person. Your phone calls are coming up. So, Nick, this is a short segment. Some stations don't carry it. A bunch of stations join us in about 6 minutes. What else do you want to get into?
They ask if Kanye's a Mason towards the end of the interview. Oh, that's so interesting. Wow. That's a really good question, because do I think he's a Freemason? No. Do I think Young Thug is a Freemason? Yes, because he has photos where he's holding, you know what I mean? A lot of them are Freemasons, but they're not like smart people. They don't activate psychic abilities or any of that. They're just around real Masons. But nobody asked that question. Fuck, man, I keep getting baited by chat. Dude, it's time to permaban.
On the whole Ye interview, and then we'll shift gears into some of the other stuff that you and Ye were talking about.
It doesn't matter how much of the debate you missed, because all my VODs will be published as soon as I turn it off. Thank the guys in chat who spam VOD please, and remind me when I'm ending stream. That's why I do a longer outro, so I see shit that I forget. You can watch all of it. Don't worry.
Well, like I said, I think that there's a lot more to the Ye situation than people are saying right now. People are very hung up on this issue, and you said, and I think you're right about it.
Would you guys like that? A YouTube VOD channel? God, if someone could just run it for me, because I have to make a Clips channel soon when I start doing YouTube content. So Clips, regular YouTube VOD channel, and Twitch. And Twitch is always going to be my favorite, though. It's just so cozy. It's like a bunch of people doing stupid degen shit, and then this channel doing everything correct. So nice. Like, it stick out like a sore thumb.
It is provocative, and of course, you know, I had some sense that it was going to the media coverage would go in that direction. But there's something really special going on with Ye, because it's not the only thing that he's talking about. You know, when I saw that video that he put up several weeks ago talking about the January 6th supporters and the loyalists that stood behind Trump, and how a lot of them were hung out to dry in favor of lawyers and types like Jason Miller and others. When I saw that, I said, this is like a serious political figure. I said, that's a serious political contender. He's saying the same thing that people in Washington, D.C. who worked in the Trump administration were saying for the last 6 years. And I know you have sources there, too. All the people that I talked to in the White House would complain constantly about how actually it would be a mark against you if you were trying to get a job in the Trump White House that you worked on the Trump campaign in 2016. So all the people that supported and believed in Trump, all the people that supported and believed in his agenda, they were hung out to dry. They weren't hired, passed over. And we saw the White House, and now it looks like this 2024 campaign had been infiltrated and subverted by people that were on the Rubio campaign and people in the Bush White House and sort of the worst of the worst, people like Bill Barr and Mike Pence and Mike Pompeo and Nikki Haley, who was she was the UN ambassador, and John Bolton. And so I saw something like that, and that's something that he's been talking about a lot. And in some sense, the Hitler thing has overshadowed that. But when the dust settles on that, and it will, it's a quick news cycle, I think people are going to be very, very eager and interested to hear what he has to say. It's a true and a real alternative to a lot of the junk that we've been getting. We're supposed to believe our two options in 24 are going to be DeSantis and Trump. And DeSantis, I think you like him. I'm not really a huge fan. And Trump, like I said, in a very moderated form, sort of low energy. I still love him. I'd still die for him. I still think he's a great hero and one of the great Americans, but he's not the same guy that he was in 2016. Everybody recognizes that. And so a big part of what's so exciting for me as a young guy in the last couple months with everything that's been going on is here's something out of all the stuff that we were put through, you and I, in the last 2 years and many others, between January 6th and the pandemic and BLM and the election fraud, here's finally a light at the end of the tunnel. Here's finally a North Star, west, but maybe a West Star. Here's something that we can finally look at and actually get excited about.
Sure, what do you make of Senator Paul?
And what about?
I think he'd be a great president.
I like Rand Paul. I like him a lot. I met him actually in 2016, and I actually worked maybe I didn't work on his campaign. I think I campaigned with Cruz actually during the Republican primary in 2016. But I was an early supporter of it when I'm talking about when I was a senior in high school. But I was a supporter of his. I still am. I think he's very intelligent. But he's a libertarian, and he's just not really my kind of conservative. I know you're more libertarian, so I think there's more overlap. But I'm really more in favor of bringing back a very strong Christian flavor of nationalism. And I don't know that I love that term. I feel like it's being hijacked, but I want the government to be Christian, and I want us to have a true nationalism. So it's a little bit stronger than
we certainly shouldn't have an anti-Christian government. Nick Fuentes is our guest. Just terrible racist things he's saying on a scale of 1 to 10. He's like a 2. And you got the ADL, just so pro-Hitler and just so anti-white, promoting racism that I just am so frightened by both groups. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
What you want, then? Hey, yay, right after this, I'm going to say you're crazy. I'm going to take your family away from you. We're not done with you yet. You cannot cause free thought. We have to control the history books. We have to control the banks. And we have to go and kill people. Also, we're in the...
No. Are you suggesting we get rid of 2/3 of the doctors?
Not get rid of, not violently get rid of them.
Fire them?
I think that Jews are very intelligent, but they don't deserve to be in charge of everything because they don't put Christ in.
Well, how do you legislate that?
They need to work for Christians. Jews should work for Christians. I'll hire a Jewish person in a second. If I knew they weren't a spy and I could look through their phone and follow them to their house and have a camera all in their living room.
I want to holler the loud funny words. I like Darren. He is my friend. I like you and him. He likes me. And I like him.
What the
He
fuck?
likes you.
Bro, this is like shit Jill draws. Like some satanic ass shit. What is that? Why is Cartoon Network so fucking creepy? Why am I pretending I didn't grow up with shit like this?
I hope. Hey, man. I like his autograph. It is a nice picture. He is nice.
When it comes to the Jews, here's the silver lining. It tends to go from 0 to 60. They're not wrong about that. But there's a reason for that. And the reason is them, okay? When it comes to the Jews, every society where has gone down with these people, it always goes from 0 to 60. It never starts with, burning all the Talmuds in Paris. Okay? It never starts that way. But frequently, it seems to end that way, and it gets there very rapidly. Doesn't start there, but it frequently ends there. But I would say that the Jews had better start being nice to people like us, because what comes out of this is going to be a lot uglier and a lot worse for them than anything that's being said on this show or has been said on this show. In spite of the fact that I have been bullied by the Jews and I have been oppressed and slandered and lied about and attacked by the Jews, I have been completely precise, for the most part, and even-handed and nuanced about my view about the situation. And I'm also a Christian, which is going to matter, because it could be a lot worse, I'm going to say, than this show. And what's going to come out of this could be, like I said, it could be a lot uglier than what we say on the show. I know that there are other people that are going to push farther than that once this conversation really starts. And the Jews are going to look at people like me in America First and say, damn, I miss when it was just that funny guy. And we pushed so hard and this and that because history has shown that once this train gets going...
You know, blacks are overrepresented in violent crime. But when you meet an individual black person, you don't apply that. You start with a fresh slate every time you meet someone. Do you do that with Jews? Nope. This intervention isn't going very well.
Okay.
All right. I mean, I just got to say it. I think basing things on race is really bad news. But the left and the ADL and others are saying all white people are racist and demonizing our founding fathers and trying to destroy our country. And so I wonder why it is. What I see is the ADL's trying to conjure this anti-Semitism to get more funding and more power and more control over people. And they worship people like George Soros and others that help round up Jews. And so many of the Jews that have been killed in history under the name of this have been completely innocent people. I really just don't think Jews are one big monolith, Nick. And again, you really, I think, spoke to it earlier in the last hour where you said, well, you're off over there on these kind of side issues of Bill Gates, the WEF, and, you know, this stuff. But, that, you know, we're over here with the Jews. The WEF and the big corporations, the New World Order, and Xi Jinping are mass murdering people, are bringing in tyranny and lockdowns and world IDs and controls. And whether they're Chinese or whether they're German or Jewish, I'm just opposing these tyrannical objectives. And I kind of want a big tent for all of that. And I just think it's a First Amendment, but I do think it's dangerous to then sit there and just invoke all of this and say that Jews are the powerful Jewish mafias who basically run the world. I mean, is that what you're saying?
Yes, and I think they do.
Oh my God, man. When Nick does his half listening to you, half mind somewhere else, but always answers on time. Like, he always answers quick. It's too funny, dude. He had to check for 1 second with his brain. He's like, wait, what are you saying?
I don't even think it's really disputed anymore after what happened to Ye and that clip that you played with Greenblatt from the ADL. Look at him. I mean, he was somebody who even in 2018, 4 years ago, was saying things that are regarded as politically incorrect. And people throw that around. They say, oh, that's politically incorrect. Like it's this, you know, broad, nebulous thing. It's actually very specific. He said like partisan conservative talking points in 18 and he was just fine. And he went on Tucker Carlson and he called out China and called out a lot of things and he was just fine. Then he switched up on the Jews. He was banned from Fox News. He was banned from Daily Wire. And, you know, I don't have to go through the whole list, but we've all seen the cascading effect of this. Adidas deal cut, Gap deal cut. His bank froze tens of millions of dollars. You know, I mean, it's unbelievable if that doesn't prove it. And then the ADL is going around now, and they're not just fundraising, but they're passing out a letter in Congress, and they're demanding that nobody give him a platform. They're getting him kicked off Twitter. It goes on and on and on. And so I don't even think it's even in dispute anymore that Jews have and, you know.
It is kind of funny how Elon Musk is like, we're for freedom of speech. And Kanye's like, oh yeah? Check out this power level. And Elon's like, fuck, man, I can't even do this for 1 week without Kanye going like Super Saiyan 10 on us.
Well, maybe you would qualm about whether it's all of the power or just like a lot of it or a majority of it. But it's true that there are these and there are Jewish groups, Republican Jewish Congress, Zionist Organization of America, ADL. These are all Jewish groups. World Jewish Congress called for Apple and Spotify. And you know, that's kind of like asking a question in itself. What is the World Jewish Congress? Did you know that the State Department's definition of anti-Semitism says that if you believe that Jews conspire on a global level, that you're an anti-Semite? Well, then how do you acknowledge the existence of the World Jewish Congress, which is real? They did an article about it in Newsweek last week.
Israel?
Without being an anti-Semite. I mean, they also go on to say that if you call Israel comparable to Hitler or the Nazis, which you have 20 years ago in 2001, they say that's a definition of anti-Semitism.
Well, what I said is some of the, I mean, the ADL has had to take it off their website, but it's on the Wayback Machine, said they support anti-race mixing laws in Israel, and they support basically taking lands away from people that aren't Jewish, and they support I mean, they said we can't have replacement migration or Israel won't be Jewish. So, I mean, I'm not denying that Israel lives by a second set of rules. But how do you square it up that Jews in Israel have been under the most draconian lockdowns in the world after China and have been given the deadly shot and one of the highest death rates from the shot? I mean, if they're all powerful, why is this biomedical tyranny targeting them and doing that to them?
Well, I think that that's just a symptom of the elite. I think that's a symptom of hubris. I don't know, for example, that the vaccine is created to kill people or something. I think that the COVID thing's very complicated. There's a lot of journalism to be done there.
Just kind of like Bill Gates' WF, Alex is off on a side tangent. Yeah. The shot's not the centerpiece of their takeover. It's not depopulation, 20 million dead at least, erases your immune system. And Israel is the worst country for being given the poison shot. Their lockdowns are the second worst.
Well, it wouldn't even make any sense, because if they were going around giving everybody the vaccine and that's supposed to take out everybody, well, who are the most vaccine hesitant? Who's going to be remaining when they're and don't get me wrong, I think the shot is deadly. I didn't get vaccinated at all. But the idea that this is some kind of that the Georgia Guidestones are dictating global politics, I think is just ridiculous. And I think it's one of these things that
a consortium led by the founder of CNN put that up. I mean, they do believe in depopulation. As I was saying, Nick, there is a larger depopulation.
Wow. Nick is, he's not Guidestone based? Well, Nick is a lot more soft core on that topic than I thought. What? This is not making much sense. Oh my God. That is really strange.
Globalist agenda. And that gets into who funded Hitler and how they set him up and this power.
Well, one thing that's throwing me off is that even politically, it's against talking to his base. So why would he say that?
Powerful group that's next level. It's the transhumanists, man. It's to me.
Nick doesn't know about the cult. Yes, he does. He talked about it on the Sneeko Destiny one. He talked about black magic. He believes in all that.
That's what's going on.
Yeah, I just don't know how convincing that is. I think when you look at these raw demonstrations,
how convincing?
Of power,
Hitler was for government push euthanasia. Hitler was for abortion. Hitler was for all these things the left supports today.
Yeah, but I just think if you look at the conversation these past 3 weeks, it's pretty clear who's in control, and it's not Bill Gates and it's not China. And take a look at, and listen, I don't mean this in any kind of offensive way, but you went on Crowder. They tried to get Elijah Schaffer fired.
I'll let you finish when we come back. We got a hard break. All right, we got hard satellite breaks. I'm sure the gropers will say that was all a big conspiracy, but our breaks are at 16 and 29 and like 46. So we had to go to break there. The point you were making, Nick, when we went to break, please continue.
Yeah, I'm between you and Turmeric 95, I'm getting killed in this debate.
No. You were bringing up Steven Crowder.
I know. I'm kidding. I'm giving you a hard time. But the point I'm trying to make is, I'm somebody who everybody knows me as like the Holocaust denier, anti-Semite. Yeah, I talk about other things other than that too, you know, but that's sort of what I'm billed as, labeled, categorized. And I'm not permitted basically anywhere. I'm banned from everything. I'm banned from all social media. I'm also banned and basically not allowed. I'm ostracized in the entire conservative movement. The point I'm trying to make, and again, it's not a competition. I'm not trying to give you a hard time, but you did a show last week with Crowder, and Crowder's talking about, I've been in many a synagogues. And Crowder's a guy who hasn't, he's pretended not to know me for the last 2 years. Now that this big news story came out, now he knows who I am, and he hates me, and he's doing Oppo research, and I'm a rabid anti-Semite. I was on Elijah Schaefer's show on The Blaze almost a year ago exactly, and he almost got fired for having me on the show. And so clearly there is some disparity in treatment between people that are talking about this very heavily and people that are not. And I think everybody knows that you derive some benefit and there is some cover. And I hear this refrain my entire career. Well, it's those left-wing Jews, and they're not even really Jews, or it's those atheists, but they're atheists. They're not Jews, they're atheists. But these Hasidic Jews, these Orthodox, these religious ones, they're our closest allies. I mean, these guys are really right-wing. I think you get a little bit of cover for that. I'm not going to lie. I don't think you're getting calls, but I do think that I don't think I'm saying telling out of tales out of school here, that does provide some cover for people to hedge and say that
really,
these right-wing Jews are okay.
If I'm getting cover, I didn't know it. Take Dr. Zev Zelenko, who early on exposed COVID, had a lot of courage and died recently, and he's an awesome guy. I've actually studied the geopolitics and sub-politics, different nations quite a bit. I find it fascinating. The left-wing Jews in Israel persecute the Orthodox Jews and take away their kids and do all sorts of stuff to them. So like you're saying that Hasidic Jews, I mean, one of the biggest groups of Hasidic Jews doesn't think Israel should exist, so I think it's more complex, Nick, than what you're saying.
I agree with you that there are Jewish factions, but the one thing that they're all on the same page about is that they're all on Team Jew, and they all spit on Christians. And this is a well-known thing. You go to Israel, and they literally spit on Christians. And it's so tragic that there are so many Christian Zionists or Christian Philo-Semites. These are not the Jews of the Old Testament. These are rabbinical Jews that and I talked about this on the Ye interview. They believe in the Talmud. Their rabbinical interpretation of the Hebrew Bible has now, it's almost like it's abrogated inspired scripture. And so they're looking more towards the Talmud, where you have rabbis correcting God in their interpretation of the 613 commandments laid out in the Hebrew Bible. They defer when there's a conflict between God and the rabbis, they defer to the rabbis. This is not the same people. This is not the same book. They're not our people. They do not share our best interest, and they don't even see us as equals. And you said this. I saw a clip from you on the day after 9/11. You said that they call the Palestinians goyim. They call us animals. And that's how they regard non-Jews. It's Jews, and they're in a big club, and there's a lot of fighting in there.
On September 11th, 2001?
What?
I was 3.
Man, I'm getting old here.
Wait, who owned that? The Solomon Brothers, the Solomon Towers, Boaz. Nah. This guy's getting to me. I've had enough of you, Nick, and I've had enough of you, Alex, okay? Everyone knows those black guys did 9/11. Those black Hebrew Israelites.
Well, look, here's where I'm at on this, Nick, and I want to take some calls coming up.
Imagine what happened to that guy who kissed that guy's boot. Who kissed the black guy's boot? What do you think happened with him and his girlfriend when they went home, Chad? You ever wonder, like, did they break up? He didn't cry. I think he was proud of it. You know how they do their irony pride?
You say this whole thing about Bill Gates is a side issue. No, that's the central issue. And I see this whole leftist thing saying America's Hitler and, you know, the leftist groups are Captain America. I see it just as what it is. And I just hope that all of us can come together and transcend the cashless society and the world government, the forced injections, and the imploding borders. And I'm just trying to get everybody together on those issues instead of obsessing about different groups all day. You know, there's whole groups think Catholics run everything, and I don't think that's the case. And I don't think that Jews run everything. I mean, who do you think runs China with 1,500,000,000 people?
I think the Chinese run China, and I think that's why. I mean, there are problems in China, but China is a country that is fighting ruthlessly for its own self-interest. And you could say that it's a tyrannical state, but China's always been a tyrannical state. They're a different kind of society. The Chinese people are very collectivist. They're very societally minded. They're very obedient and deferential. And that's their culture, and that's who they are. But there's no question that the Chinese Standing Committee and Xi Jinping are going out to bat every day to get great trade deals for China in the way that our Jewish leaders in America are not working for people in Oklahoma and Iowa. Does anybody believe the Hollywood Jews in L.A. and the finance Jews in New York and the government Jews in D.C. and the ones in South Florida, does anybody think they care at all? They give a damn about people in Texas or people in Kansas or people in Iowa? They don't. In the same way that you could say Putin or Xi Jinping care, I think, about their countrymen, or Assad cares about the people of Syria. And that's really the conflict, is we've got this separate nation on top of ours, and they're not the only one. There's other. Saudi Arabia is influential. The Qataris, the Emiratis are influential. Chi-coms are a real problem. They spy on our country. But there's only one that no one's permitted to talk about. You can hear about all those issues on the War Room, and you can hear about them on Tucker Carlson and Fox, and Mike Pompeo can say them. But there's one very powerful gangster group that you talk about it, and it's an instant ban. It's an instant kill shot. In some cases, they literally threaten to take your life. So I agree. I don't mean to reduce it all to something that's so simple, but we can't describe the society without bringing that into it. And that's one of the things that
I wanted to have the actual intellectual side of this discussion here today. And, I personally think that everybody that gets sucked into this black hole is giving power to it, and that's what some of the sinister forces manipulating groups want. And I think we have to transcend things on policy and ideas and actual issues and the fruits of the tree. We're going to go to break here in a few minutes. It's your chance, unfiltered, folks. We don't screen the calls. Just have a good, clean phone line. Tell us where you're calling from, and don't cuss, because we're on a lot of radio stations. We can't have that. The toll-free number is 877-789-2539, 877-789-ALEX, 877-789-2539. We're talking about the Ye interview, Nick Fuentes today, censorship. We'll talk about Elon Musk coming up, what Nick Fuentes thinks of what he's really doing. Look, he's keeping me banned, but overall, he's bringing a lot of great folks back and exposing the death shot, the medical tyranny. So I like that. I like DeSantis talking about they're setting up a statewide prosecution through these grand juries of the vaccine makers. I mean, that's where I'm at. And so you can say who runs it or who's behind it. I'm just going to oppose pedophilia. I don't care who's behind it. I'm going to oppose fractional reserve banking. I don't care who's behind it. I'm going to be issue-oriented, and that's what I do. But we're going to take your phone calls coming up, 877-789-2539, 877-789-ALEX, Infowars.com. Tomorrow's news today. We'll be right back with Nick Fuentes straight ahead. And then in 30 minutes, the War Room with Owen Schroyer. Well, we got loaded phone lines for Nick Fuentes here. I'm Alex Jones, your host. And let me just make my point here, and then I'm basically done debating and arguing all this. I don't judge Nick Fuentes, even though I disagree with him on some issues here, because you can't have the left viciously saying that white people are inherently the devil. I have stacks of articles here where major universities in Michigan, California, New York are going to make white people wear badges that digitally track them and don't let them go in certain areas. And who's running that? The ADL. The ADL, at their last 3 conferences, said I'm the #1 enemy. We track the lawsuits, the attacks, everything to them. But I'm not going to blame the average Jew for what that horrible mafia is doing to me and my family, who actually use Hitler tactics. My issue here is I've studied eugenics. I've studied the New World Order. Francis Galton, 1850, founds the eugenics organization. They develop the whole plan. They create the Rockefeller Kaiser Wilhelm Institute, the Cold Springs Harbor operation. Hitler is a spinoff of that. Hitler's for euthanasia. Hitler's for planned societies. I oppose that because it is an offshoot of this eugenics operation. And I'm an expert on it. I know all about it. And I don't just read history books. And I'm not going to tell the whole story here. And I've never even told the whole story because it's amazing. But again, Dallas, Texas, one side of my grandfather's family were old Texans. The other side, the Hammonds, were Germans who'd come here pretty recently, and they were not Jewish. They were blonde-haired, blue-eyed, and they were in World War II, and they know what went on, and they told me, no, Hitler was bad. And they told me what went on and how the rich Germans in Dallas, once Hitler got into power in 1933, they would blackmail German family members, not my family, but people that my grandfather worked with, and suck money out of them. And so when I heard about Hitler doing that and blackmailing people and sucking money, my family told me went on. So I grew up actually hearing about all of that. Then my grandfather worked in secret weapons programs, and I only heard a little bit of it that my mom heard him talk about. He would never talk about it, but I remember him bitching when I'm like 8 years old about in weapons projects and how he knew Werner von Braun, all of it, and how he had to deal with these damn Nazis and how arrogant they were and how he didn't like them. So, I mean, I grew up with both grandfathers had been in World War II. They both dealt with the Nazis, and they both didn't like Nazis. And so I didn't get it from Captain America. I didn't get it from Hollywood. I didn't get it from any of that. I got it from my badass grandfathers, who now look at people today like, I look like these guys were freaking badasses. And, you know, they don't make men like that anymore. So that's where I'm at. But that said, you can't criticize Nick Fuentes for what he's saying when the left is literally redlining the engine when it comes to race-based politics, and the ADL is captaining it, teaching elementary students they're inherently bad because of what color they are. But my issue is I'm not going to sink to the level of the ADL. But I say, mess around, find out. Like Nick Fuentes said earlier, you think Nick Fuentes is your ultimate enemy. The support for what Ye said was 50-50. I wanted to demarcate the fact that I'm not for authoritarianism and I don't agree with what happened, some of the things he said. I don't agree with the censorship and what's happened to him, but I'm not in league with that whole worldview. So that's where I'm at. We've got loaded phone lines for Nick Fuentes and myself right now. Daniel called in earlier before I went to you. He wanted to bring up Bible verses and synagogue of Satan stuff. I said, why don't you hold till Nick Fuentes is on? Nick's here. Go ahead and make your point, Daniel.
So I wanted to say that there are a lot of different sides to the question, and when you don't have all the sides, you end up with evangelical Zionism or other over-emphatic views that they emphasize one or another point of the discussion of the Jews. And the fact is that the Jews do have a lot of blessings just inherited from the righteousness of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, from the forefathers. They have callings and blessings. But in Malachi, it says that God will curse their blessings because they have not honored his name. So here you have people who are lost, but they have inherited all these blessings because of their forefathers, and these blessings are just being shot in every direction, and they fight against each other, they fight against the world. It says in 1 Thessalonians 2:15, they are displeasing to God and hostile to all men, which includes themselves, which is the answer to your question, Alex. How come they're killing so many people in Israel? They are aiming their weapons blessings at everything and everybody, including themselves. Why? Because it says that in Galatians 4:21 through 31, when it describes how they are our persecutor, they are the Ishmael to us Christians, the Isaac. We are allegorically Isaac, they are allegorically Ishmael. And if you look at who Ishmael is in Genesis 16, verse 12, it says he will be a wild donkey of a man, his hand against all his brothers. So this is really the answer to a lot of the questions.
All right, I got to jump to a lot of other callers here. Let me get Nick Fuentes' take on what you just said, Nick.
Yeah, I think that's all great. And I think it's so important to emphasize, and this is something I want to get to before the last break, is, Alex, you said you wanted to transcend all these things. There's only one way to transcend anything, and that's through Christ. The answer is not Hitler. The answer is not National Socialism. The answer to what's going on right now and the Jewish influence or whatever, all the influences, is for us to follow people that follow Jesus Christ, and it's that simple.
But
so
was
I love
Jesus
the biblical.
Christ not born a Jew? He said, I came to fulfill the Old Testament, not to destroy it. So I mean, I love how people that hate Jews then follow Jesus, which I do. Jesus is the Messiah. Don't you see there's a paradox here?
It's not a paradox at all, because Jesus Christ was the fulfillment of the law. And so who are the Jews that remain? It's the Jews that are still holding on to old sacrifices and old ways of doing things. And like I said, that's where you get the Mishnah, and that's where you get the Talmud, and that's where you get the idolization of the law. for its own sake, and the idolization of the law and ritual for its own sake, rather than the Lamb,
But the leftist Jews are literally at war with the Hasidic Jews. That's not a fake war. They're literally persecuting the hell out of them. Look at New York, how New York attacked the ultra-Orthodox.
The Jews are not at war with each other. The only times they even they're not. They're simply not. They're rival factions, certainly. But at the end of the day, they're all on the same side. The only reason the ZOA criticized the ADL is because they said, hey, ADL, your anti-white hatred is actually confusing people, and people think Jews are white and they're not liking Jews. So could you please stop it? But they didn't say that on behalf of the white people, and the ZOA is considered a more conservative Jewish group. So it's not to say that they're a monolith. They're not a monolith. Like you said, there's intense factionalism.
All right, let's take another call then. Let's get the calls. Chris in Kentucky, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for taking my call. I just want to talk about this whole interview in the context of my daughter and I listened to that interview together later in the day after I picked her up from her basketball practice. And I just can't say how much empathy, just can't express how much empathy she had for you, Alex. I just kind of felt like you were hijacked, and I really feel like this whole conversation stems from being, I hate to say this, but spiritually immature and not truly understanding the Jewish people. I've heard rabbis talk about Jews in particular and drawing the distinction from secular Jews and the evil that they're doing in this world. They've all had we can look all throughout the Bible. Jesus is not just the God of the New Testament. He's the God of the Old Testament too. And they are God's covenant people. But I do know this, at the end of the day, every knee will bow, every tongue will confess, and that includes everybody, not any specific people groups. But
and by the way, you see the attack on Christ, the Antichrist spirit knows that. Don't hang up. Chris, I want you to finish up. And William, we can go for 10 hours. Nick, you got to come back and take like 2 hours of calls. And we'll do a commercial-free podcast some Saturday, and we'll open the phones up and take like 50 calls. We should do this. You got your own show on Cozy TV as well. Give people the URL.
Cozy.tv/Nick. Yeah, I'd love to.
Yep, don't be afraid of the info, folks. Check it out. And band.video and Infowars.com. We'll be right back. I'm an expert on how the globalists operate. Their main mechanism is Hegelian dialectics. So they'll create multiple, sometimes 2, 3, 4 opposing forces, and they'll run them together like waves in the water to create the storm they want. And so I love everybody, whether you're Christian, Muslim, Jewish, old, young, black, white, it doesn't matter to me, as long as you support liberty and freedom. And there is a major battle in the Old Testament and the New Testament that the caller, Chris, was talking about in Kentucky, where God is telling the Jews, but also all of us, stop being evil or you'll go into bondage. Stop doing this, stop doing that. And so that's the reality here for me. And that's what I'm trying to promote. Chris, finish your point, please, here with Nick Fuentes.
I guess probably the most important point I wanted to make was, in the context of my daughter, she's a 14-year-old girl, and she was sitting there listening to this conversation. And people need to realize, especially, people like you, Nick, that have an influence over younger people, need to be very careful with their words, extremely careful. You don't realize what kind of influence you have. I think, honestly, this is just my personal opinion. You can do what you want to, but I think you need to read the Bible cover to cover 2 more times before you make any more comments about this subject. And I'll go back to kind of your back and forth between each other. We try to pinpoint problems and find solutions. I think Alex has been pinpointing the exact problem on a growth on a man's big toe. And Nick, I think you're trying to cut the guy's whole leg off. And that's just the way I see, what's happening here. But we need to be very careful with our words.
All right. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate your call. God bless you for tuning in and spreading the word. Comments on that, Nick?
I would just say that I just don't really, number one, I am very precise with my words. If you watch my show, it's very precise and very nuanced. But look around you. The problem in this world, if you are a Christian, is not that you have guys like me being careless with words, which I'm not. The problem is that children are being exposed to pornography as young as 9 years old, and they're being filled, their heads are being filled with all kinds of propaganda about violence and sex and sin. That's the problem. So I find it to be a little bit rich, and I'm going to be respectful, but Christians have got to toughen up. We're in a war here. Our adversary is the devil, and he's like a roaring lion looking for people to devour, and people are coming up against people like me who've given everything, or other people like Ye, and saying, you know, could you be a little bit more careful or something? It's like, you know, frankly, we're in a war, and that's not to say that we don't have responsibility. I take it seriously, and I use my words precisely, but
right,
you know, we've got to reorient.
Here, let's go to William in Colorado. Go ahead. You're on the air.
Hey, guys.
Go ahead.
Alex and Nick, just good job opening up this dialogue. And before I ask my question, I just want to say, you know, maybe it is time for, you know, the right, the conservatives to stop invoking Hitler and the left to always deflect to Hitler. But, Alex, I got to ask, man, don't you agree that the Germans were fighting for a better future for all of Europe in World War II? I mean, aside from, like, the tactics of the war and Hitler, you keep repeating that you're German. Don't you think that Europe would be in a better place now?
No, I did not say I'm German. I say I have German ancestors, and Hitler got 20 million Germans killed.
Well, that would make you German, sir.
Well, what it makes me is I'm an American and a Christian and then an American and a father. And I just think that I think Hitler was manipulated into that war, and I think Hitler did a lot of bad things. I don't think Hitler is the ultimate evil. I don't fetishize Hitler like the left does, but that's where I'm at.
Well, you're already deflecting the question and going back to Hitler. I'm asking you, would it have all of Germany and all of Europe been better off?
No, I don't think Europe would have been good under Hitler's European Union, and Edward VIII is the king of the EU. I don't think Hitler... Let me ask you a question. The first country Hitler invaded was Poland that had a horseback military. He attacked them because they were weak. Why did Hitler attack and kill hundreds of thousands of Poles and bomb their major cities with Stuka dive bombers? And Junkers? Why?
Well, now you're getting into who fired the first shots of the war. World War II was more or less a rematch of World War I. Who started World War I?
Oh, you believe Operation Himmler at Gleiwitz. You believe Poland attacked Germany.
I believe that they both invaded the borders. As far as who fired the first shots, neither here nor there. I mean, I'm just asking you, you know, Europe would be better off now, and for sure.
Well, I mean, actually, at Nuremberg, the Nazis testified that they staged an attack at Gleiwitz on a German radio station, military station, and started the war. I appreciate your call. Nick, let me ask you that question. I know you don't defend Hitler here, but you think World War II, Hitler invading Poland, was that a good, did the Poles, are they the master group too? Do they deserve it?
No, but I think you got to recognize the situation in Europe. And I would also say that the more relevant fact to me is the secret security guarantee that the British gave to Poland. I think that if you're looking for culpability for World War II, I don't think it rests with Hitler. I think it rests with, quite frankly, the United Kingdom and Winston Churchill.
Well,
and that's
right.
a view that's shared by Pat Buchanan.
You show your history knowledge, and the Brits did not back up that security guarantee.
Right. So in terms of in terms of those politics, I honestly don't think it's even relevant so much for today, because the thing is, we don't need to be having a big, protracted expert history discussion about World War II or the Holocaust. The question is, why is that the crux of the debate? And to me, that's the relevant part for Americans living in 2022. But they always want to get into the weeds on these things.
No, I hear you. America wasn't Hitler. We didn't do that. So we should not have that by the left pushed on us. Let's talk to Craig in Washington. Go ahead. You're on the air with Nick Fuentes.
Oh, hey guys. Hey, Nick, just a question for you. Like these are all just words, and it's so silly that we're beating each other up. Why don't you start living in Christ? My question to you is, why don't you, it doesn't have to be horse-driven, why don't you become like the Amish? Do your own thing. Why don't, for a group, the Amish live in Christ more minutes of the day than probably any group out there. Why don't you just stop throwing bombs and start living in Christ? That's my question to you.
Well, I don't know what that means. I'm not Amish, so I don't think living in Christ means living in a low-tech society. I'm living in Christ every day. I'm a Christian. I go to church. I pray every day. I pray the rosary. And what we're called to do, we're called to go out and evangelize and tell the truth. There's horrible iniquity and horrible injustice going on in the world. If you're a Christian, you have to be disgusted at the state of our country. Like I said, the filth in the media, the filth in our school system, the groomers, the porn, the media, it's terrible. And to sit by and watch all these innocent people in some kind of quietist, people call this the Benedict option. I think it's a dereliction of duty. I think it's an abdication of our
jam in more calls. Let's talk to Wild in Wisconsin. Go ahead.
Hi, Nick. I agree with you about Jewish mafia stuff, but how you mentioned before about Hitler and being Christian. Hitler is known for also killing, a significant portion of Orthodox Christians. I don't know really how you can square that. That someone who's killed so many Christians and being a Christian is an idol of yours. And then also I was wondering if Kanye on the back of his jacket with the checkered flag, not the mask, but the jacket, had a Masonic symbol on it, the checkerboard symbol, which is also the floor that Jesus was tried on with Pontius Pilate. Do you know if Kanye just likes racing or is he a Mason?
Well, first of all, it's yay. And no, I don't think that was the intention behind the jacket. He wanted to wear a motocross jacket. He said it fit the Texas, Austin, InfoWars vibe.
He wanted to find a country. He wanted us to take him to a store at night to buy boots. They were closed. So he wanted a cowboy out.
Holy fucking shit, it's for me. They did this episode. That chatter wasn't lying. They're doing it for me. They're coming back to our content, baby.
Outfit, so he went with that. I can say that's true.
Yeah, and what was the first question? The first question was about idolizing. The thing is, I don't idolize Hitler. And here's the problem. You bring up this conversation and people's brains turn off and they stop listening. I never said I idolize Hitler. I said there are things I admire about Hitler.
I'm such a fucking pussy. I can't take Frank's Red Hot. But I gotta say, it is delicious. I put that shit on everything. Frank's Red Hot is... it's so good, man. It's just so good. I can't have any meat without it. Frank's Red Cock. Yeah, we're done here.
There's things I admire about Joseph Stalin. There's things I admire about Xi Jinping. As a Christian, you understand that we're all fallen. We're all sinners. And so there are no good and bad people. There are people that have good and bad actions. And I would be... So
you think the Zionists are good too?
Like I said, I love everybody. Ben Shapiro, I think he has good attributes. Dennis Prager, he says
I
that
love Dennis Prager.
I don't go to hell.
We're out of time.
Okay.
We're out of time. Amazing debate and interview. Sorry to the other callers. Nick, join us again for another one of these. Let's do a commercial-free soon, okay?
Let's do it. Yeah, thanks for having me on.
And what is it,
cozy.tv/Nick.
All right, there it is. And we've got band.video.
What did you guys think of that?
Look at this Alex.
What is the new Yay?
Good Lord. And we've also got Infowars.com/show. All right, Nick, thanks for joining us. Very interesting discussion.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me on. We love you, man.
We love the First Amendment. All right. Owen Schroyer, Loaded for Bear, Infowars.com/show, and stations across the country. We need funding. I can shut down and show you how close we are.
I can't wait, because with this red wave, Flat Earth comes back to the YouTube algo. You've already been seeing a bit of it. And TikTok. A lot of TikTokers, they pretend like Zherka wasn't holding the Flat Earth front lines for years. Right? Now everyone's on TikTok talking about Flat Earth. And if you look behind me, you can see a big... there's a big cock.